Welcome, everybody. My name is Kellen Klein, and I'm the course manager at the Center for Humane Technology, and this is our inaugural What We're Building session, which is an opportunity for all of you, our course community, to share with one another and with the CHT team what you are building. And I am so grateful to have our 6 initial presenters that we have selected from our course community to be sharing with you today. And I see that some of you at the bottom have already figured out the emoji feature. Excellent. Don't abuse it, please. So yes, I'm really excited to have 6 initial presenters here today that are going to be sharing with you what they are building. These are folks who have applied from our course community, people enrolled in the Foundations of Humane Technology course. We were overwhelmed by applications. There were over 60 of you who ended up applying and submitting your recommendations. So I have a feeling, or submitting your ideas. So I have a feeling this won't be the last time that we do this. But today we have Stephen, Nidhi, Daniel, Bev, Greta, and Dani who are here to share with you. And I am going to just cover a few initial logistics and then pass the floor, or hand the microphone. That's the metaphor I'm looking for. Hand the microphone over to them to share their brilliant ideas with you. So with that, I am going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. This is Stephen Crane, and he is going to be presenting on his app called Sunny. So Stephen, I am going to go ahead and bring you up onto the stage here. There he is.
Right.
I think your shirt even matched the profile image that you shared. That's perfect.
That's true. I like this shirt. It's
good plan. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, Stephen. Well, I'm going to hide myself from the stage, and the floor is yours. Really excited to hear about Sunny.
My name's Stephen Crane. I'm a research scholar at Stanford University and a behavior designer working on a number of projects promoting health and well-being. And today I want to share with you about one of the biggest challenges facing society and what we're doing to address it with our app called Sunny. And I'll share slides in a moment. I just wanted to start by describing the problem we're addressing and see if you can guess what it is. This problem is widespread. It's really rampant through society, and it closes us off from other people. It shortens our lives considerably, and it costs society hundreds of billions of dollars. And the problem I'm describing isn't mental illness or diabetes or even COVID, though the research is clear that its impacts are similar to those. The problem is social isolation and loneliness. And I've spent the last 8 years at Stanford studying human nature and human flourishing, and I consider our social nature to be one of our defining features and the factor most central to what it means to thrive as humans. Welcome to Sunny, and thank you for having us. So Sunny is your digital guide to inspire and facilitate the daily practice of kindness and connection. It's an initiative of the Barnes Family Foundation, which is a nonprofit org dedicated to accelerating social innovation. And it's been really cool to operate in this way because we can offer a top-tier app that's free to use without the need to sell data or even run ads. So we've been working on it for almost 2 years. I've been working with a wonderful team led by the incredible Amy Vest, who's here, who chimed in the chat, and collaborating on designs and providing scientific content review and behavior suggestions. So let me show you what we've put together. The onboarding flow gives you a sense of how we're introducing our Sunny adopters, as we're calling them, to the app. So research shows that even small moments of connection can boost our happiness. Tiny actions add up. So Sunny gives simple science-based activities like saying thanks, checking on people. And with Sunny, we try to really support and facilitate these actions. We make it easy to add meaningful actions to your day, browse ideas to get inspiration for how to brighten the day for yourself and others, and to discover inspiring videos and stories, learning from proven science how-to resources. And with every action that people log in the app, Sunny makes a donation to a community nonprofit. So our intention here is that every action that someone takes through Sunny benefits themselves, benefits the people they know, and benefits people they don't know in their community. After onboarding, people can jump straight to take the action of the day if they want. Here's a simple, quick action right up top, offering to help someone, practicing a moment of self-care, saying hello to introduce yourself to somebody. Or if they want to go deeper, they can browse the library of action themes. So here's how we've organized all the different behaviors and suggestions we have into these 7 themes: saying thanks, encouraging someone, checking on someone, lending a hand, say hello, have fun, and take care of yourself. If an adopter taps into one of these themes, they find a library of suggestions of actions. stories and inspiration, including video content that we've made, and an area to discover the proven science behind the suggestions that we've put together. And say someone tapped into the suggestion, thank somebody by text. What I want to point out here is we try to make it as easy as possible for the person to do it, ideally right here in this moment. So we give them a template and an opportunity to personalize and send it right away. So if you'd like to talk more about principles and behavior design, come join in the Q&A. But basically, we believe that tiny actions are the building blocks to meaningful relationships. We're trying to help people feel successful and take action regardless of their motivation level by making it easy to do. And experts such as myself and others in this area review our content suggestions to make sure we're not causing inadvertent harm with what we're encouraging people to do. I like to think that the future of Sunny is very bright. Our website, gosunny.org, will be live in a matter of days. Our app should launch mid-summer, and future versions should include more features like prompts and groups. And I'm developing a roadmap for rigorous research in collaboration with academic researchers. And as far as all of you, we'd love to be in touch, especially with partners who are mission-aligned builders, expert advisors who want to lend your wisdom to this, community nonprofits who can help us figure out how to allocate Sunny money in effective ways in your community, and amplifiers to help us get the word out about what we're building. So there's our update. Sign up, screen.link/sunnyinterest, or you can email us, and I would love to connect with you in the Q&A afterwards as well. All right, I think that is 5 minutes for me. I can go on and on, but
that was excellent and super exciting, and also very punctual. Thank you so much. That was an excellent presentation. Seeing more emojis and applause popping up, and I shared some of those links in the chat for everyone. So I would encourage you all to get in touch if you're interested. I have a lot of questions I'd love to pose to you, but I'm gonna find one. One thing that we talk about a lot in this community is how to get new ideas, new humane tech funded. And you've actually, sounds like, gone a little bit of a different route, getting funding from the philanthropic sector instead of more mainstream traditional for-profit investors. Can you talk just briefly about what that process was like, or how did that come about and what the experience has been?
Yeah, sure. Fortunately, I mean, I think it's just amazing that the Barnes Family Foundation decided to make social connectedness such a priority. And so it was really their initiative, and, that found people and built a team around an idea of an app to help with social connection and, positive pro-social behavior in community. And alongside, they've also funded a large initiative through the University of Washington to do more population scale data and to support local community organizations, health departments, to get a better sense of how we're doing socially. So it's really cool that they funded this whole ecosystem. We're working with Sunny on the individual behavior change side. And we do have ideas that in the future, as we've developed Sunny and as we can demonstrate its value and its ROI, that we might be able to partner with employers who might be interested in reducing loneliness in their employee population, which should benefit them in terms of health expenditures and things like absenteeism and sick days and things like that too. So we may, try to look for some sort of win-win funding opportunities like that in the future.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's great. And let this be some inspiration for the other folks to look beyond the usual suspects and when you're looking for support and funding for your ideas. And maybe Stephen can share some more about that in the Q&A. Thank you so much, Stephen. You know what? I'm going to plug one more thing here, which is this is not Stephen's first humane tech product that he's built, and one that he previously shared with me, which is super cool, is the Screen Time Genie, which is a way to, reduce your screen time essentially through very targeted actions. It aligns a lot with the Center for Humane Technology's Take Control Toolkit, which Stephen is generously volunteering to help update as well. So Stephen, thanks so much for all your volunteerism and support. And I would encourage folks to check out that other link as well that I just shared.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see more from Stephen later in the Q&A. I am going to invite Nidhi up to the stage now, and I'm going to hide Stephen here. Here we go. All right. Nidhi, welcome back. Calling in all the way from India today. Nidhi is the co-founder of the Citizen Digital Foundation, a nonprofit that she's going to be presenting, and I'm really excited to hear more about it. Nidhi, thanks so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Kellen. I'm going to just share my screen and ensure that everyone can see my screen. All right. I'm going to get started then. Let's picture this. You're a country of 1.3 billion people, and your busiest and most commercial city has around 21,000 people per square kilometer. The fight for upward social mobility is as cutthroat as fight for survival. The rich, as everywhere else, insulate themselves and build higher walls. There are not enough opportunities for everyone. And there's at least 1,000 people who are almost as good or even better at what you do, which threatens your livelihood or status. So what do? Basically, we jostle. We'd try every trick in the book to get your foot in the door, to get ahead, to survive. And this is not an entirely alien concept to, let's say, New Yorkers, who also, I believe, are around 11,300 people per square kilometer. So you get the drift. Enter technology, which, as we already know, is largely created, owned, and distributed by a few powerful or privileged people who also then get to decide how it pans out for the rest of us. Now, technologies has definitely, like everywhere else, has been key in economic development, upliftment of people from poverty, and a lot of other advancement avenues within a country like India. But what we also need to understand about a country like India is that we are an extremely diverse, multicultural, and highly ethnocentric country. And technologies also had a role in widening certain divides, distances, and disparities that existed already, which is why thank you, Center for Humane Technology's course community, for having us here to speak about what we're building here in India. This is a nonprofit called Citizen Digital Foundation, and Vijesh Ram and myself, Nidhi Sudhan, we are the co-founders, and we're working to promote safe and responsible navigation and innovation in the digital ecosystem. We decided to work here in India for a multitude of reasons, but some of them primarily being, while as a country we're trying to onboard the next 500 million onto the online ecosystem so that they can benefit from the opportunities available, there's also a whole bunch of extractive businesses that are targeting them to exploit for political and profit motives. Regulations are still catching up. While Europe and US have already advanced in the discussion, there's a lot more to be done here in India. And being a content-saturated, big tech-smitten country also doesn't help. And there are very few avenues that are addressing the challenges of exponential technological growth. So at Citizen Digital, we're trying to bring citizens, businesses, and governments together. We take awareness sessions across all sections of the society. We're trying to mainstream the narrative of responsible innovation with businesses instead of just having social innovation which addresses certain surface-level issues. And we're trying to speak to policymakers and bureaucracy and media and within the government to try and advise them for informed action. So far, our work has been extremely customized for the audiences that we've spoken with. We've taken a session on responsible use of social media in governance for the Kerala cabinet ministers themselves. We've also trained central civil servants and state civil servants and the information and PR department staff on communications in the post-truth scenario. Our audiences also include innovators, parents, entrepreneurs, sports trainees, and students. For now, we are focusing on the custom sessions given our limited reach. We are doing as many of them as possible and also working on a community outreach program. In the medium term, we look at building an e-learning platform to make sure that our media literacy products and programs reach more people across India. And eventually, we want to be able to encourage and facilitate responsible innovation ecosystem for tech startups, privacy-first products, and such. We are looking for support and collaboration from the community here today. We are operating out of the 21st largest state in India called Kerala. This state is extremely advanced on social indices, including literacy, but we want to take our programs across to India and scale it out. So anyone in the community, if you're able to give us collaborations, which will increase our visibility, that would be extremely helpful for us. We can talk about it on the roundtable after this for the Q&A session. And if you're based in India and if you're looking to invest in making or influencing social change, then we'd be happy to speak to you if you could help us build capacity as such. And these are our details. That's my email ID, and we could also connect on LinkedIn. But I look forward to meeting you at the Q&A table. And that's our website and details. And that's my 5 minutes.
Wow, once again, so punctual and so inspiring, Nidhi. Thank you so much for your presentation. I also love the QR code idea at the end. That's very, very clever. I didn't yet have an opportunity to put your email in the chat. So if you're able to do that after your presentation, that'd be great. I'm sure some folks would love to get in touch. I know some folks have been having some trouble with the connection. I apologize about that if AirMeet is proving to be unstable for you. Nidhi, I just wanted to pose one question for now. First, I'm so grateful that you're here. Just due to the nature of the Center for Humane Technology and where we are based, India tends to be what I would argue one of our most underserved markets in terms of the course community. So I'm really grateful that you were able to be here. And I'm really excited to learn more about how this community can be supporting humane technologists in India. And I was wondering if you could talk just a moment about any unique challenges that you might have identified around being a nonprofit organization in India. Are there specific needs or challenges or opportunities that you found distinct that would be useful for the community to know about?
So currently, as a nonprofit, we've been able to reach out to more people than we would have as a for-profit, because the demand for privacy and related challenges is much lesser, because the awareness is not as much as the English-speaking markets as such. However, as a nonprofit, we are still struggling with financial aspects. Of course, we are only 10 months old, so there are certain legal aspects of tax exemption that we have to clear, and the processes are on, and it usually takes its due course. But and obviously there are challenges with external funding, which comes from outside the country as well. But which is why any collaboration as such is very useful for us, because the visibility that we could get across the international platforms will establish us and our credibility and our authority in the space that we're working in. So that's essentially the area that we're looking to benefit from.
Great. Well, I know other folks at Center for Humane Technology were very interested in following up with you as well to see if there are ways that we can support. So we'll be in touch. And please, anyone else in the community would encourage you to reach out to Nidhi as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kellen.
Great. I'm going to hide you from the stage now, and I'm going to invite Daniel Hartley up on stage to talk about PledgeWorks. Come on down, Daniel.
Hello, Kellen. Yes, you see me all right?
I see all right.
Off into space, that's not because of you, it's because my camera's in a strange position. So
okay, right on. Well, good to have you. I will hide myself and hand the floor over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to jump into the screen share. Let's go here. Okay, so yes, my name is Daniel Hartley. Today I'm going to present PledgeWorks. PledgeWorks is a little bit different than the talks we've had so far, because this is from sort of the inside, as it were. So PledgeWorks is a practical tool for responsible development. It is the result of a collaboration at an open source project, Responsible Tech Work. And our intention is to bridge the gap between our good intentions and our actions. And we're targeting tech workers like ourselves. We're designers and programmers, and so PledgeWorks is designed to fit with existing practices. However, it is for everyone. It can work at an organizational level or team level, but we also encourage individuals to use it. And I think CHT, for example, could provide the support and encouragement for individuals if they want to introduce something like PledgeWorks at a company where that is less open to change. At the heart of PledgeWorks, clearly, are pledges. Our definition of a pledge is a promise of how you intend to act responsibly. And the way we derive pledges is through a series of discussions. We're constantly iterating over ideas. We draw our sources of inspiration from many places. So, for example, standards bodies like W3C, political bodies like the EU, companies, codes of professional conduct, etc. And pledges derive from, first of all, we have values. So we determine the things that are important to us, and from there we have principles. Where, we decide what the right thing to do is, and then pledges finally are how we determine how we're going to act on our values and principles in our day-to-day work. And this model here that we call our ethical solar system, this illustrates how values, principles, and finally pledges fit with the purpose, because we're building apps, we're building websites, we're building digital products, and PledgeWorks is designed to interrogate our everyday thinking. So into the standard workflow, we can write pledges, we can enact them, and then review what we've done. So what does a pledge look like? For example, these are pledges taken from responsible tech work. So one of these, we pledge not to sell, exchange, or exploit our user data. This, for example, would be important to us if we are introducing analytics or any kind of social media platform. This is our ethical solar system again. In this case, we see with specific to responsible tech work. So here we have the purpose that we espouse. We are very practically oriented, and so pledges are concrete. For example, we have the ethical decision matrix is one of our tools. And this is designed so that when we have a request, for example, in this case, adding a discussion platform, we can then see which pledges are appropriate to that particular request or problem. And then in addition to our standard requirements, we can create ethical requirements. And finally, we have a dashboard, which again is another tool. This is work in progress, where we can look at what we've done over time. We can take snapshots and see how we're progressing. In this case, you can see that under trust, we're doing quite well. We've pledged not to sell, exchange, or exploit user data, and so far we haven't. So PledgeWorks in a nutshell is we take our values, we look at the context, the piece of work we're doing, and then we find a way of combining those two things. And there we are. I'm done. And maybe stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
I've lost you. There you are. You're back. Right. Let me just drop down in my seat so I can see you properly.
Right on. Thank you so much, Daniel. That is really exciting. And one of the reasons I was excited to showcase this is because it is distinct from some of the other ideas that are a holistic organization or an app. This is really a tool, and it feels like it's so closely aligned with Module 4 in our course, where we talk about being metric informed but values driven, and figuring out ways to actually align those, whether internally or externally, and be accountable to our values, but in a way that still feels both measurable and transparent. So thank you so much for sharing. And another thing that I think is really cool is how you are open source. Anyone can access this. Anyone can learn from this. I know that PledgeWorks is housed within this broader open source framework called responsibletech.work. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how it came together?
Yeah, we can. Actually, the founder was with us, Alia. She'll join us in the roundtable later, or maybe even want to raise her hand now. So she had put a wonderful, responsible tech workers. She'd laid down all the foundations to that, and it was wonderful. And the fact that it was open source was very attractive. So various people joined. I agreed with her. She had set out a set of pledges, which very much kind of mirrored my thinking, because I sort of define myself as a responsible web developer, and so then it was from then on it was just a very enjoyable process of sharing ideas. If anyone hasn't been involved in an open source project, I would thoroughly recommend it. We would welcome people to join us. As you said, we're talking about values and the responsibility dashboard, for example. We would love to know what people think about that. We have some metrics, but we're not sure if actually quantitative kind of metrics is the way to go. I mean, because it's very easy to fool yourself or kind of tweak the numbers, or make it work so it looks like you're progressing. So anyway, that's responsible tech work. We kind of create tools and things for people to use. Great.
Thank you so much for sharing. And please feel free to drop your email in the chat, and we'll to get involved if you want to learn more about open source platforms in general, or actively support this one specifically. Dan, thank you again so much.
Thank you very much, Kellen.
All right, I'm going to hide Dan, and now I'm excited to invite Bev Klau up to the stage to return to a subject that we talked about earlier with Stephen, which is the crisis of human connection and loneliness. So Bev, thank you for being with us and welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Really excited to be here. I'm going to share my screen. Great. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you today about Verbina, the new app that I created that promotes connection and healing through technology. My name is Bev Klau. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief curator of Verbina. For the last 20 years, I've been an educator, facilitator, and community builder. I went looking for an app that made it possible to build community the way I know how to do it in real life, and I couldn't find it. So I decided to create it. Here's the context. As we emerge from 2 years of a global pandemic, we find ourselves confronting some painful truths. Collectively, we are sick and lonely. And so far, technology has been part of the problem. But that doesn't have to be the case. What if our technology served to connect rather than isolate? What if it healed rather than poisoned? Introducing Verbina. Verbina is the app that creates spaces that connect individuals living with illness and their loved ones. Here's how it works. Meet Susan. She's a wife and mom, and she was just diagnosed with a rare blood cancer. Her days are now filled with doctor's appointments and procedures. She feels scared, overwhelmed, unwell, and isolated from sources of support. Meet Lisa. Lisa is Susan's best friend. She wants to support Susan by gathering messages of love and support from all of Susan's friends and family. That's when she turns to Verbina. Lisa creates a gallery called Support for Susan. She records an invitation video and shares it with Susan's friends and family. They submit videos that are easily viewable in the Support for Susan gallery. Contributors can view and be moved and inspired by each other's messages. Susan can easily revisit her favorite videos again and again. And Susan can add a video response. What makes Verbina unique is that it's a private group, it's purposeful, it's video-based, it's interactive, it's easily curatable, and it's an elegant solution. Here's why it matters. Social connection is not just nice, it's necessary. Former US Surgeon General Vivek Murthy puts it this way: helping patients and their families feel known, helping them feel seen and loved, is perhaps the most powerful medicine we have. There's a growing body of research demonstrating the strong connection between positive social connections and health outcomes. Here are just a couple examples of relevant research findings. Socially isolated adults with coronary artery disease have a risk of subsequent cardiac deaths 2.4 times greater than their more socially connected peers. Here's another study that shows that the risk of death among men and women with the fewest social ties is more than twice as high as the risk for adults with the most social ties. It's clear that social connection is powerful medicine. The market opportunity is huge. There are 100 million American caregivers. That's 39% of US adults. Every day, 300,000 people use the patient caring site CaringBridge. And in 2021, nearly 200,000 GoFundMe campaigns were focused on helping people pay medical bills. That's a whole lot of people dealing with health issues, and that's just the domestic market here in the US. Here's what we've done so far. We've built a powerful brand that is grounded in a clear set of core values that is informed by and aligned with the principles of humane technology. We have a quality product that's already built and beta tested. You can download it right now on Apple and Android, and I hope you'll check it out after hearing this talk. And we've had some really positive engagement from strategic partners, including hospitals, websites that serve patients and caregivers, and organizations that focus on this population. The response has been really positive, and what we're hearing from them is they understand the importance of social connection and have not been able to find an app that's really tailored to this need. So we see a real market opportunity here. Here's what we need. We need connections to potential partners. If you or anyone you know works with patients and caregivers and is interested in leveraging humane technology to support this population, we would love to speak with you. and we're seeking funding for our next stage of growth. If any of this sounds interesting to you, I would love to connect. Here's my email, or we can connect after the talks. And if you want to learn more about our app, you can visit our website. Here's one final closing thought. There are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who are currently caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Bev. I'm seeing tons of hearts and applause coming up here. I think, you spoke, I think that quote at the end is probably an indicator of why this one resonates so deeply with so many people, is we all have some sort of experience with that caregiving community experience. We've been caregivers. Can attest personally, I'm currently a caregiver. The rest of my family is downstairs with COVID right now. So this is deeply resonating, and I would love to have messages supporting our entire family during this.
Yeah.
And I had to compose myself before I came back on stage. My mother passed away of cancer a few years ago, and when she was near the end, we were searching for a tool exactly like this. And so I know what a critical need you're meeting, and this feels like something, and I've seen some other people share it saying, this is something that they've been looking for in the past as well. That said, I know that and this is not a gotcha question at all, I know that there are some other similar tools in the market. I've heard of Tribute before. Marco Polo has some of these like video first messaging features. Can you talk a little bit more about why you think this specific audience is unique, and what specific void your app is filling that these other apps and experiences might not be filling right now?
Yeah. So I've used those other apps and have enjoyed them for their, I think, unique purposes. Mm-hmm. So there's like the VidHug, the Tribute, those ones that make these video montages. Yep. What's unique about Verbina is that it's really simulating an asynchronous conversation. So whereas those platforms, it's like you submit your video, they're all collected, and you watch this like beautiful montage. Yeah. But whereas Verbina is more interactive in that as people contribute their videos, you can respond and like kind of build off of it. So it's much more of like, I imagine the conversations in our house happen around the dining room table. So it's more like we're all sitting around a dining room table that's asynchronous. And the idea is that you can very easily go back to your favorite videos or like the ones you need at that moment. Whereas if it's on one of those montages, you have to like remember where it is. So like you have to like be like, oh, I want to go back to that favorite video, and you have to like remember the moment where it is. And then in terms of what is also unique, and maybe I didn't like speak to this as much. So like I was spent many years as a classroom educator and facilitator. And so the way that Verbina is also set up is you have someone who we call a curator, the person who creates that invitation video, and they are really holding space in the way that you do. And so that person has the ability to delete submissions, contributed videos that are not really what we're looking for. If someone contributes something that's like kind of negative, or it's like, this is not the vibe we're setting here, they can remove it. And then they might like, connect with that person later and say, hey, we're looking for this tone. Whereas, in like a Marco Polo, you don't have that same curator role. And the other thing about Verbina is we limit the length of the videos, the contributed videos, to 90 seconds. So that the idea is that like, it's just what we're doing today. It's like, you've got a time limit, it's short, it's purposeful, it's meaningful, as opposed to the Marco Polos, which are wonderful, but they can just go on and on. So, and the idea, and that we also, the amount of people who can be in conversation, different gallery sizes. So from like up to 30, 100, and up to 500. So it's really like different size dining room tables, if you will. So
yeah, I love it. No, that all makes perfect sense. And I think it connects to what Stephen was talking about in terms of specific actions that can help address other people's loneliness, but also our own, and help us feel engaged with the broader community. I know oftentimes when someone that we love or care about is sick or struggling, we don't always know exactly what to do. And being that type of filling that type of curator role that you mentioned, I think is a beautiful way to show support for someone and to help them not feel that loneliness. It reminds me of organizing a meal train, which is something I love to do when friends and family have babies, and to be that curator for bringing them food and nourishment when they're struggling to keep their head above water. So
yes.
Thank you again so much for sharing. Really exciting. I'm just going to do a quick time alert for everyone else here. As I expected, this is all very exciting, and I have too many questions. And so we're going a little bit longer than I had anticipated. We are still going to leave plenty of time for Q&A. And if this runs past the 10:30 mark, I would welcome folks to stick around a little bit longer. But I recognize that some people might have to peel off, and we will be, again, recording all of these presentations. So with that, Dev, thank you so much. And I'm going to invite Greta up to the stage. Cheers.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Kellen. Really excited to be here today among all of these fantastic innovators who are creating really powerful solutions. My name is Greta. I am the co-founder and CEO of Blue Fever. A little quick background on me. I'm a tech entrepreneur with media roots as an award-winning filmmaker. And I share the same belief with the Center for Humane Technology and probably everyone here that tech should serve our most human needs. And through my time in media and tech, I've become a Gen Z expert. Gen Z is currently today's teenagers and young adults. And I focus my time on building solutions for this generation's mental health and wellness needs. My current company is Blue Fever. It is a non-toxic app for the expression and support of Gen Z's most authentic self. So we are a community-driven teenage diary, is how I like to explain it to adults, that supports your mental health and rewards you for your progress developing a healthy identity. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. You know, we call ourselves, one second, we call ourselves emotional media, not social media. And we do that because we feel like we're really in between categories. And I'll tell you, my goal today is to tell you a bit more about, what problem we're solving, how we're tackling it. And then if we have time, we can get into a bit more of the product, or I'm happy to connect afterwards. So like I mentioned, we're Blue Fever. We're emotional media, not social media. This is Blue right here. Blue is the personification of our relevancy and anti-toxicity algorithm. So again, I won't harp on this problem too long, because I think most everybody here is really aware that there are a lot of problems that technology is causing. A lot of people, when they think about young people, think, oh, social media is the problem. But actually at Blue Fever, we believe that it's just one manifestation of the problem, and that Gen Z is actually suffering from a lack of supportive community spaces. And what's really interesting about this generation is they're the first generation to grow up with both a physical self, right, and a digital self, because they're the first generation who've had a computer right in their hands. And, because they have this physical and this digital self, and they don't have supportive community spaces for either that are really comprehensive, especially in the digital world, we're seeing a lot of this, have an effect on mental health and wellness. And so you can see, again, I think most people here are aware of the, massive epidemic of mental health in young people. But, we're seeing 79% of young people experience extreme loneliness. 1 in 8 have had a depressive episode. The list goes on and on. But what we're also seeing is young people are taking breaks from the platforms that they spend a ton of time on, from these social media platforms. One research study that I found recently reported that 64% are taking breaks from these social platforms. So they're hopping around from platform to platform, and 34% are leaving it entirely because it doesn't make them feel good. And what this really tells us is that they're looking for a different experience. And so at Blue Fever, we've stepped back and we've looked at the evolution of the internet, and we've seen that, we started off with the search bar that gave us topical relevance, and we ended up with this information graph. And then with Web 2.0, social networks were a huge part of that. And we received social relevance, right? Because we're connecting, we're making social connections, we're monetizing them, but then a lot of unintended consequences came from that, again, that we're all familiar with. And what we're doing at Blue Fever is we think it's time for a new kind of space, a space that starts by prioritizing the safety and wellness of an individual and their journey, and optimizing for emotional relevance that really allows users to share in the platform's value creation. One of the macro trends that I see is that people are really trying to redefine what the transfer of value is between themselves and the platforms that they spend time on. And for young people, this means redefining the transfer of value between the platforms they're growing up on. And so Blue Fever is building out and has built a platform for identity development. And we call it emotional media because we are taking elements from previous experiences to create this new type of space. Mental health apps are wonderful, but often they don't meet young people where they are. Less than a quarter of teens download mental health apps, but 90% report that they have mental health issues. So we take positive elements from mental health apps, positive elements from social media, and positive elements from creative expression apps to create, Blue Fever, which is a, modern teenage diary where you are earning, tokens for supporting yourself and others as you're developing your most authentic self over time. We've built Blue Fever, and I'll start to wrap up, but we've built Blue Fever on these 3 principles. Because we think that this makes a healthy emotional media space. One is safe self-expression, safe places where you can share your inner thoughts and your authentic self without being judged. The second pillar is social support. And the third is positive guidance. I think that positive guidance is the pillar that differentiates us and our product the most, because we understand that young people want a more reciprocal relationship with technology. They want to interact on a more human level. And so we're building technology that guides and supports. So it's not neutral. It has an aim to guide and support you along your growing up journey, and use community to bolster that. So I think that I'm probably at time. I'm not as great as the other people speaking, but happy to share more in the breakout rooms about what this product actually looks like. We're live in the App Store. We were actually just featured as Apple's App of the Day, and feel free to email me here or check out our website. And really excited to share more and learn more from this community.
Wow, thank you so much, Greta. I'm seeing a lot of applause and a lot of comments in the chat saying, "Can adults use this too? Why are you?"
It's a really great question. We've actually seen, especially when we were featured as App of the Day, we've seen an increase in installs and signups from adults. So a lot of millennials, so I'd say like late 20s, early 30s, who want to use this product as well. I think that what it tells us is that we've created a solution that can really, help all different generations and all different demographics. But we've decided to, focus our energy on young people, but we are inclusive of everyone. So, please download the app. Please try it out. I will tell you that it's designed for young people. So you might see topical communities in there around high school, or around, gender identity and coming out as a young person. So, we're working to make this space, more relevant to older audiences, but right now focused on youth.
Well, I love that focus, and I love that commitment to an audience and a market that clearly is struggling and has a need for something like this. And so I respect that focus. And if I do end up doing it, I might need to do some Googling around, how to keep cool with the young kids or whatever, how to understand it.
I also think as an adult, as a non-Gen Zer, I'm in the app every day. And what I find is really rewarding to me. And I think some of the other speakers talked about this, is that, I have a lot of life experiences that I want to share with younger people, right? They're talking about things that I went through. And I find that I can be really helpful, and it feels really good to talk to somebody about what that experience was like going through a first breakup, how I got through it, what it's like to be in a long distance relationship, how I've gotten through that, going off to college, etc. Because I think that what young people have today is a lot of information coming at them from all different directions, but they lack a lot of perspective and wisdom, right? The internet isn't great at curating and helping them understand and giving them context. So I do encourage older people to come in the app and helps give some of that positive wisdom and perspective.
That's good advice. And I think it's multi-directional, right? Also, youth have a lot of wisdom that we often lose sight of. And
100%.
and very valuable perspectives as well. So to have both of those perspectives is great. And I know that some other folks who submitted applications are actually really interested in cultivating more of these mentorship type of capabilities as well. So maybe we can feature them in some future building sessions as well.
Yeah, yeah, Kellen, I would love that. And I actually started Blue Fever because I always wanted a big sister to guide and mentor me, but instead I had an older brother with epilepsy and autism. And so I was looking for this like space to be guided and be supported as a teenager. And I think we all are, right? Like even as you get older, you're like, oh, like I still want support. You know, you don't have everything figured out as an adult. I would say like things I'm looking for really quickly before we wrap up is we are hiring a data lead at Blue Fever. So somebody to come in and really help us like refine our anti-toxicity and relevancy algorithm. We have so much powerful data that we really want to use for good to create a more supportive experience. And also, you know, we're looking to define what efficacy is. You know, measuring preventative mental health is really hard, proving efficacy there. And so, you know, any researchers or people who have done work in this area, I would love to talk to you to understand better, you know, how we can approach and create a framework around efficacy.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and my information I'll drop in the chat. All right, thank you. Don't want to take time from Dani. Thanks so much, Kellen.
Thanks so much, all right, Dani, you have been very patient. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring you up on stage to wrap things up, and then I promise we will still have time for Q&A at the tables after that.
That is all good. I can be quick too. I just feel so humbled to be alongside all these incredible presenters, and also just a shout out to such an international audience that we have. So thank you for staying up late or waking up early to join us and hear a little bit about Headstream. So I'll just put that link in the chat. I'm Dani and I lead Headstream, a national innovation program that's focused on creating just and thriving digital economies that support the well-being of young people as they grow up. You might ask, why young people? Well, they are the most marginalized populations when it comes to the fact that they usually don't have a lot of rights. Parents, caregivers usually need to give consent for access to a lot of things. And we believe that if we can build for young people in mind, then all of humanity can benefit. So over the past 3 years, Headstream is really focused on influencing and reshaping the social tech, ed tech, and digital health sectors, and making sure that they prioritize the needs of youth. Now, we're particularly motivated in supporting innovations and structural changes that address the needs of Black, Indigenous, Latinx, LGBTQIA+, and multi-hyphenate youth and people, and entrepreneurs. So this really comes together where our program takes a three-pronged approach. We have our foundational program, which is our accelerator. We are currently recruiting our third cohort. We have our Youth to Innovator programs, which are a set of youth programs that really put youth in the creative seat and allow them to build with entrepreneurs, build with tech professionals and policymakers. And then we also do research to better define this space. And what do I mean by that? Now, in terms of research, we're trying to position ourselves, Headstream, as a learning organization so that all stakeholders from all sectors can come to learn about humane tech and digital wellness. We understand that this is a nascent space. And so right now we're focusing on not only educating entrepreneurs and youth, but also funders, because we understand that that is how these innovations get built and sustained. And so I will just share my screen to show you one project that we have been working on, which is called the Digital Delta Wellness Map. So if you can all see, this is representative of over 3,000 organizations that are all focusing on youth digital wellness. And now each keyword theme we've synthesized represents different organizations. So you can see I just clicked on one, but I can also note this is still in beta. But you can look at these keyword themes that we've been starting to synthesize so that we can build better relationships with funders to help them understand, for instance, what the healthcare and wellness fitness sector is, or even social networks, social identity, and social wellness, so that we can build better bridges with people that have a lot of power and money, and with those that are actually building innovations that prioritize wellness. And so by focusing on something like social network, social identity, and social wellness, you can see that this tool allows you to look at the organizations and companies from a keyword perspective. So if you're interested in personal health, mental health, therapy, social change, we know that wellness is a very evolving term. And so wellness can apply to a lot of things. If you want to start to look at the investors and the donors in this space, we primarily scrape data from Candid and Crunchbase. And so we were able to get a sense of who is actually funding this space and how we can build better relationships. And then even more, what you can see is you can start seeing their funding stage, their company size, or for our international audience, you can see which companies are actually operating and building these types of innovations that you might be interested in. And so what we're really looking for at Headstream is we want to better define the space around youth digital wellness. I think in our 3-year journey, we found out that there's more things that it is not than it is. And so we welcome all stakeholders to come learn about the incredible innovations in this space through our entrepreneurs, the youth that want to help you co-create, the funders that want to better educate themselves so that they can make better investments. And so with that in mind, I'm going to wrap it up, but we'd love to be in touch wherever you are. And I'll put my contact info and the link again in the chat. So thank you very much.
Bravo, Dani. Thank you so much. That is so cool. I personally love landscape maps and getting to get into the weeds on all of this stuff. And what I love about it so much, oh, if you wouldn't, oh, perfect.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, am I still presenting? Oh.
What I love about it in particular is I can imagine so many different people from within our course community finding value in this, whether they are looking for investors or trying to understand like the specific need that they can fill through what they're building and make sure it's not redundant, or and make sure it's complementary to other resources that are out there, or whether it's funders looking for organizations in particular geographic areas. And I also love the focus on supporting more underserved or marginalized communities as well. I mean, that's something that we emphasize throughout the course, but particularly in Module 6 on supporting fairness and justice. And it's been a really inspiring theme to see across the board with all of our presentations today. I imagine there's folks chomping at the bit from within our community, including Greta, maybe, who this feels very relevant to her, about how I can get involved. And I was wondering if you could just speak for another moment about the Accelerator program in particular. Is that something that folks who are developing sort of youth well-being apps or products from the course community could participate in?
100%. Right now, we're at a moment where our application is closed for 2022. And so it doesn't mean that we don't want to be in touch with you. We will have external events and hopefully partners like Center for Humane Tech so that we can start meeting those entrepreneurs. And then in 2023, when we're recruiting for our next cohort, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I'll let you drop any contact info in the chat as well. But thank you so much, Dani. This has been awesome.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, we covered the full hour without the Q&A. I'm not surprised there. I personally am so inspired by the brilliance that is coming out of this course community. And there's so many more of you that I know have brilliant ideas. And if you weren't selected for today, please don't interpret that as an indicator that we weren't equally inspired by your idea. We tried to just build a collection of 6 initial ideas to showcase, and I personally am going to take it on myself to coordinate another one of these events because it was so inspiring, and it's so exciting to hear from all of you about what you're building around the world. So thank you to everyone for your attention today, for your support, for the innovators that presented. And I'd love to create some more time for Q&A as well. I see a lot of applause coming up. That is not applause for me. I know that is applause for our presenters. Yes, bring it on. Let's all support them here. It was incredibly inspiring today. And I feel like I now have like 5 new apps and various websites to browse and use, and they all feel very applicable and value added to my life. So to Stephen, Nidhi, Daniel, Bev, Greta, and Dani, thank you so much for your presentations today. That was a rousing success.